Namaste everyone. I would like to discuss about the Gen Z generation. For those of you who do not know the Gen Z generation, they are 4 to 24 years old. They're known as the techno babies, you could say. They're very advanced when it comes to technology, right? Out of the womb, they have an understanding about technology that, say, the millennial generation, even the generation, the MTV generation, are still sort of learning how to navigate this technology world. While these Gen Z kids they just come out of the womb and they're just already like knowing what to do with technology. So, with the Gen Z generation, what is going to make them different from, let's say, the millennial generation, okay, which is kind of like their older classmates, we could say, okay, their older classmates, and then the MTV generation is more like their parents, kind of thing. The Gen Z generation, it is about exploration. Okay, so we're gonna see a lot of young people who are wanting to explore. Okay, so it's about stepping out of the family environment, and it is stepping into the world. Okay, that's the Gen Z. There is this hunger to want to connect with the world, and a part of that is through exploration. So a lot of these Gen Z kids, okay, right now a lot of them are pretty young, so they might not have the opportunity or the luxury to have that exploration, okay, like, because they're still bound to their parents. But there is going to be this hunger for a deeper experience. And a part of having a deeper experience for the Gen Z generation is that they're wanting to participate in the natural world. So what does that look like for the Gen Z? They're wanting to participate in the natural world in the way that we're going to see this rise. Even it could even be what we call the discs, the old classic discs that may come back. It could also be Native American music. It could be like Arabian music. There is going to be this depth for a natural flavor. Okay, so as we are very connected to the technology and the whole the facade of it and the whole superficial thing of it, but the Gen Z are gonna we're bored with that. Okay, we're bored. A lot of young children who are like middle school, elementary school, they're very bored when it comes to a lot of technology. It is not feeding their soul. It's not feeding their hunger. So a part of feeding that hunger is they're wanting to basically be the voyagers, the pioneers, the explorers of the generation. And a part of the explorers, as in like exploring the Himalayas, or exploring the Blue Ridge Mountain, okay, or exploring, okay, the natural world, is that they're looking for a deeper expression of creativity. Okay, so the technology, it has wonderful information on all kinds of subjects, like a gigantic library, okay? And a lot of that information is not credible, okay? There's a lot of charlatans because that library called the internet is not, it's not scanned properly, meaning basically you could put anything out there. Okay, while the library, it's pretty much only academically accepted, you could say, approved information can be put into the library. Okay, so what millennials, as well as in the Gen Z generation, they're wanting integrity. Okay, they're wanting integrity and wanting honesty. So that's going to be the great, they're not going to put up with any more of this, this lack of integrity and this dishonesty. They're very much, they want to get real. Okay, so part of the Gen Zs, we could see in some of even the millennial generation, there has the negative side of the millennials is escapism. The whole culture of let's get trashed and let's just kind of forget about, how difficult planet Earth is at this time. Let's just kind of like forget about it and just kind of have fun and do that whole rockin' hot sex thing. Okay, so a lot of millennials participate in that escapism. Okay, and we can see what the whole millennial created, what we call as the American music. What we know in that whole millennial generation is very much about let's just escape our lives. Let's just go get trashed, and let's just kind of be obsessed with. There's a lot of songs about obsessed with people. Let's be addicted to people. Let's overindulge in these kinds of things. Okay, so with the Gen Z, they're very much like the MTV generation, where we had like Michael Jackson, we had Madonna, we had Prince, we had even what we call Whitney Houston. We had some major creatively deep people in that MTV generation, which is my mom's generation basically. But then the millennial generation, I can't really think of really creatively deep, what we call like mainstream artists. Okay, I know the millennial we associate is like, Rihanna, or people like Drake, and I can't even really think of anybody else like Taylor Swift. These kinds of what we call is like what really created that millennial sort of generation of sound, but is nothing compared to the innovation and the creative genius of these pioneers called Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, Whitney Houston. These were pioneers. That's a different kind of sound current than the whole millennial sound that we have, where it's kind of nothing really stands out. Everything is kind of all saturated. So with the millennial, it's become very saturated. Okay, that our creativity is very saturated with everybody else's kind of stuff, and there is no sense of originality. So Gen Z understand that a part of like what we said, like Michael Jackson, Madonna, they carried their own vibratory field. They were their own like dimension. That's how powerful their pioneership was. They weren't just like a kind of a runoff of somebody else, or just a saturation of something of other people kind of thing. They had their own sort of their own just vibration that just distinctly their own. So what we're seeing with the millennial, there is this whole the millennial generation. Okay, we're seeing a lot of I would say that there was just a lot of escapism going on. Okay, as we could see, a lot of escapism, a lot of sort of entanglements, sort of confusion, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of sort of just kind of like this whole imbalance. Okay, like I'm not really secure within myself. But the Gen Zs, as we're seeing these young people, even at elementary, middle school, they're very direct. Okay, they're not confused. They're not wanting to escape. They're very direct in the way that they want to explore the natural world. Okay, they don't want to participate in the facades and the superficial stuff and the charlatans of the internet. They're actually wanting to bring back a natural rhythm on this planet. Like I said, that whole the old discs that we used to have, that were just these beautiful discs that may return. Oh God, I even forget the name. I just call them disc, like disco disc. I don't know why I call it. It's not the right name, but you know what I mean, with the beautiful pictures, and it was just very heartfelt and soulful, and it was just really particularly made and designed and carved and just thought through. So we're gonna start seeing the Gen Z, millennial. They didn't really want to. And still, like, we're seeing this whole, like, I don't really want to do the work. Okay, I just want to like just throw out a piece of product and just make a lot of money. So I'm just gonna like do just I just did that real quick, and hopefully it'll get me money. So there's a lot of, with the millennial, it's a lot of like cheap. Like, I want cheap money. I want it easy, I want it quick, and I want it cheap. And I'm not willing to actually go through the process of what it takes to actually have a skill or to have a trade. Like back in the, you know, the times of making the disc, when it was like, you really, because a lot back in that day, you couldn't just do what people do in the studios, where you can cut and paste and just do all that kind of stuff. Basically, you would sing your whole album just like in one take, and you had to be really damn good, okay? Because there was no, if you mess up, oh, we'll retake it, or we'll just, you know, we'll cut that part out and we'll put in a better part. There was none of that. It was like, you had to actually perfect it to a point where you could perform that whole track, or that whole album of that music, and it good enough to and that would be it. That would be it. So that's what we call craftsmanship. So the millennial generation, what I'm seeing, you could, a lot of people, like a lot of in their 20s, and even like it's like overlapping. The Gen Z and the millennial are sort of like overlapping, but with we could say the older millennials that are pretty much like getting, you know, into like their 30s, basically we saw this whole like not really wanting to work on the trade, craftsmanship. Okay, and that's why we see in our kind of the millennial generation, where there's this period where it feels really cheap. Like, when it's cheap, it's saturated usually. Okay, it's just kind of like thrown out and to the world, and, you know, give me money for it. So that's why we have also this rise of charlatans on a lot of the social media outlets, a lot of charlatans that are coming up because of this whole culture of like cheaply made, and then kind of like cheaply distributed, and then you know, cheap kind of money coming from that. So that's why we have a lot of misinformation, and we have some integrity that's in question. Okay, but also the positive side of the millennials is that they are aware that escapism stuff is not going to work. Escapism can be like being in a bunch of relationships. It can be like sex. It can be alcohol, drugs, like smoking pot. That's kind of a millennial, you know, thing. Escapism can be just like dwelling in victimization, of boredom, of complacency, of just kind of like blaming society, that kind of thing. We're recognizing that that's not it. Okay, so a lot of millennials are they're stepping slowly and surely into like a humanitarian role. Okay, because that other sort of stuff is just not, it's not really leading anywhere. So with craftsmanship with the Gen Z, and how they're the ones that are gonna really, like, their eyes, even if you look at kids the way they look at you, like the young ones, they look right at you, into your soul. And if you have any BS, they're like, I can penetrate you, I can see you. So these Gen Zs are very sensitive in the way that they're not like the millennial sensitive, where I'm like, I'm so sensitive, like I can't handle my sensitivity, and I'm so obsessed with people and my alcohol and the sex, like I'm just so confused by my sensitivity. Okay, these Gen Zs, they're very much like they watched the millennials when they were like a spirit, you could say. They watched the millennials, and basically they're like the older kids. They've watched the older kids and see how they handle their life. And they've seen it, how they handled sensitivity through escapism. And now they're like, I'm going to handle sensitivity in a different way. I'm not going to handle sensitivity through escapism. I'm going to deal with sensitivity in a different way, a different approach. So Gen Z is kind of like the next experiment. Okay, the next experiment for how are young people going to deal with their sensitivity on this planet. Are they going to escape it, escape that kind of thing, be victims to it, not take responsibility for their actions, and kind of not really want to like be present and participate in the natural world of called humanitarian we need at this time, and that level of strength to be that and to hold that frequency. Okay, the Gen Zs, they're a different sort of experiment on how do young people handle sensitivity. But a part of the millennial, what we see out and this whole young people is there is this fully embracing your spirituality, your sexuality, your sensuality, your creativity. So that's one very positive thing that the millennials have done that's going to help the Gen Zs, is that they're like, you see them on Instagram, YouTube, or whatever sort of place, Facebook, and you just see them really embracing, like, hey, like, yeah, I was abused as a child and I'm working through that. I don't feel shame. Or, hey, you know, I'm a sexual addict or sex addict. I don't have shame. I'm healing that. So all of these millennials are coming forward and they're saying, hey, I'm on a healing journey. I'm trying to work through the stuff, we could say, you know, the stuff. So that's what's really helpful to the Gen Zs, the younger generations. You kind of like, they're looking at the older kids, and they're seeing how they're actually embracing, and they're starting to express themselves. They're expressing their sex, even if it's a sex addiction, or how they have healthy sex, or expressing their emotions, even if it's really, you know, neurotic or it's really balanced. Just the expression of the millennials is really helping the Gen Zs to kind of, they're very observant. These Gen Z group, they're very like watchful. They don't speak a lot, but they're very watchful. They're actually more observant than the millennials. So whatever, the millennials are expressing everything. They're expressing their pain, they're expressing their great bliss, and everything in between. And the Gen Zs, the younger people, the younger kids in school, you could say the young kids, they're looking at that and they're just like watching, and they're studying the millennials. They're studying how they deal with the sensitivity, how they deal with emotions, how they deal with their sexuality, how they deal with trauma, how they deal with their childhood, how they deal with pain. They're watching, and they're studying it. But these Gen Zs, they, like I said, they're super direct, and a lot of them are very like almost like cutthroat, or they can cut through the BS, because they're very striking. The eyes of these Gen Z, they're very striking in the way that they can speak up, but they have a smart to them. They have a smarts to them, because they understand discernment more so than millennials. Discernment when it comes to information, when it comes to the parents, when it comes to the classmates, when it comes to the caretakers. They understand discernment a lot deeper than the millennials. The millennials, we were very sensitive souls in the way that we took everything seriously. What we saw on the internet, what we saw on TV, what we saw on the news, what our dad said to us, what our teacher said to us, what our classmates said to us. We took it very seriously. And these Gen Zs, they're not. They're being very discerning. So that's the one thing, what we call the improvement of sensitivity, is that these Gen Zs, they're not taking everything seriously. They look at the news and they're very they're very discerning about, okay, these quote unquote leaders. Okay, so they're not gullible, okay, anymore about someone says they're a leader, because they understand the charlatans, because they can cut through the BS. So with the Gen Zs and how they're going to become more productive is because they have a discernment that a lot of millennials didn't have. They kind of believed whatever was presented on Instagram or whatever was presented on the news. But since the millennials, very much, that's when all of that information exploded, okay? And you know, we didn't really need discernment when it wasn't really developed during that millennials time, when it really started to explode, all of this Instagram, Twitter, that kind of stuff, because we didn't really understand at that time of the millennial generation that information can be faked. Okay, but now through more information coming out, we're starting to realize there is a lot that is fake. There is a lot that's superficial. There is a lot of charlatans, and we're just now realizing that. But the Gen Zs, they really see that. Okay, and they're cutting through that BS. And what the Gen Z, what makes them a little bit, we could say, more evolved than the millennials, is because they actually are very psychically in tuned. So when I mean psychically in tuned, a lot of millennials are very psychic, psychically in tune, where they can just sense, like, they trust their senses, they trust their psychic awareness on the their environment. But they also, it was something like, they didn't know how to, like, almost like they didn't know how to cope with this sensitivity. Like, it became too much, so there was a lot of escapism that came from that, because the a part of the whole the whole design of kind of what we see as the social media thing is about appraisal and about attention. So we kind of, we as millennials, we focus so much on being appraised and having attention, okay, but we didn't really focus on the substance of whatever it is that we are giving out. And that's the difference between the Gen Zs. We're going to see more so focused on the substance, like on the basement, to see, okay, is it actually on something that's actually real and truthful and has substance and has some sort of integrity. And okay, we're going to focus on that before we're going to sit there and focus on just the attention. So a lot of the millennials, there's a lot of attention, like appraisal, but there's not so much working on what we call craftsmanship. Craftsmanship that's not something that millennials really work on. It's more of like, I'm feeling inspired, I'm just going to make a video and I'm just going to get all the attention and appraisal just for that little video I made of just like brushing, just woke up from bed and just decided to just go do that kind of thing, okay, and get attention and get appraised for that. So a part of millennials getting praised for basically no craftsmanship is that, there is this, kind of like shallow sort of competition that millennials have with each other. That's very much a distraction, where we're more so focused on who has the most attention and who has the most appraisal, and that kind of determines who is a leader. But the Gen Zs, they're seeing that and they're like, no, okay, just because you have the most tension, in the whole millennial, fight to see who has the most appraisal thing, does not mean that you actually have a craftsmanship. Okay, so craftsmanship, to the Gen Z, is something. It is a determination. It is a grit, and it's a pioneership. Like Madonna, like Prince, like Michael Jackson, like Whitney Houston. All of these individuals, were a pioneer in the way that all of them had a grit, they had determination, they were so devoted and consistent with their trade, whatever their music, their dance, that kind of thing. And they were also they had a strong sense of self, a strong sense of integrity. Madonna, Prince, Michael Jackson, and that's what made them quite apart. So with a millennial, we see like a lot of young people, and they're getting a lot of attention, but yet they all are kind of the same. Nobody stands out. Like I said, it's saturated, and that's why we don't know, like we can't even really take it in, and we can't even absorb the information from the millennials, because it's saturated in the way it's all kind of just the same. Okay, so we can't really make a distinct difference. and with the Gen Zs, the Gen Z generation they're a part of their sort of, you could say, mission is, like I said, they're wanting to bring back the natural world. So they're wanting to bring the natural world back into our technology. Our technology has been out for a very short time. Basically, the millennial generation technology has been out. Been so quick, very, cheap. You can just do it cheap and make money cheap, and not a lot of deep substance going on, and a lot of confusion with that. about, you know, who actually is character. We're confused about who is character. We think character is some woman online doing videos on how she, you know, waxes her legs or something like that. Okay, that kind of thing. And that's the confusion of it, because we feel as millennials like that shallowness of it is just so boring, and we're just like, wow, is this my life? So that's why we escape it, because we are like, oh, my life is like, this is not really, this is not leading me anywhere. So the Gen Zs have seen the millennials and how they were not really led anywhere, but just kind of confused about life. Okay, so they're more so, okay, I want to focus on actual craftsmanship. I want to focus on something that actually can help the natural world, bring the natural world back, bring the natural world into our technology. Okay, so that our technology doesn't get out of control. Okay, so part of bringing that natural world back into music, back into culture, for young people, um, is the Gen Zs are going to do it through their craftsmanship. And there's so many craftsmanships that are coming about. It could be either through a teacher, it could be through a musician, it could be through a painter, it could be through a scientist, it could be through a firefighter. These kinds of things. So many things. But we are seeing the Gen Z generation. We are seeing a focus on teachers. We need teachers. So a lot of the Gen Zs are going to be, by spirit guides and by angels, they're going to be pushed to be teachers. Okay, so teachers to the science of English, teachers of various forms. It could be teaching Tai Chi or whatever it is. We're going to see a lot of teachers, because the Gen Zs, they represent, basically, they're the knowledge transformers. I like to say knowledge transformers, that kind of thing. Meaning they are the, like I said, they're explorers, they're voyagers, they're pioneers, and a part of that is you're wanting to transform knowledge and what it means for the current. What is the current information, and how can we improve it? How can we better it? So part of the Gen Zs exploring, getting out of the house, the family house, okay, very important to get out of the family house, and to explore, and to have discovery, and to have a voyage, and to be a pioneer. That's what's going to help the Gen Z to really expand their mind on what does it mean to have a job, what does it mean to have a career, what does it mean to even work online, or have YouTube or whatever kind of thing. What does it mean to be in a relationship? What does it mean to be in a family environment? What does it mean? What is family? So part of the Gen Zs, they're really breaking down. The millennials, they got kind of confused, and they just sort of didn't. I would say that the millennial was not as impactful as the MTV generation, my mom's generation. I can't really think of a lot of very impactful movers and shakers, in this younger generation. But I do see the older generations, kind of the MTV generation people, and older than that, really stepping up. I see a lot of the MTV people stepping up and becoming leaders in the form of, like, you could be therapists or teachers, or even having like a business and teaching people about how to heal their body, or how to heal their psyche, or how to meditate. We have seen a lot of the MTV, which can be like, I guess 35 and to upward, upward. We've seen a lot of them kind of step up, and while the millennials are kind of getting wasted, that they step up and they really start to become teachers and leaders and become humanitarians, to kind of like step up and to show the millennials, hey, like we're not here to just get a high off of ayahuasca and to just go into some fairyland while the world is just continue to be polluted. And part of really being a teacher and leading is that, yeah, we have to deal with these things. We have to deal with the trash in the ocean. We have to deal with the family sort of whatever it is. We have to deal with it head on. So a lot of these, I don't know if there's a word, way showers, because like they're showing the way. The way showers and these MTV generations are basically kind of showing a way, showing a path on how these millennials can really get balanced so that they can handle the pressure of this age. Because a lot of cannot handle the pressure of this age. And a lot of millennials are on medication currently right now. ADD, ADHD, any other, anxiety, restlessness, that kind of thing, imbalance, hormonal imbalance, chemical imbalance. A lot of millennials are on medication, probably more so than the MTV generation, because the MTV generation, they were very much like, they were like the revolts people. Like, they were like, let's stand up and like, come on, like, let's get our stuff together, and very like, yes, a lot of liberation happening during the MTV generation. A lot of liberation, a lot of, the activism. There was a lot of activism during that kind of MTV, and then the millennial came and there was less activism. We still have it, but not by a lot of millennials. It's more so, again, by probably 35 and sort of getting upward. Because with that technology that really got super heavy on our psyche, that pressure to have attention and appraisal, it really confused us and as a millennial, and what does it mean to actually be successful. We saw success as cheap. Success is cheap because the internet made it possible for us to gain money in a very cheap way. It made it possible for us to just show our do yoga nude and to get 1,000 subscribers and get $1,000 or something like that. And it was possible. So what happened is our character really became stagnant. We didn't have a lot of character development because we were so seduced by the technology to like, I can literally just show you my boobs and I'm sure I'll get 1 million followers, and then if I do a bunch of commercials I'll get all of this kind of money. So that really, it was a halt. It really it stunned the millennials' character development. It stunned their character development. So we're seeing, for some, not all, but we're seeing kind of a theme where millennials don't really have much character. There's not much, we saw personality that is authentic, that isn't attention-seeking or appraisal-seeking, okay, that isn't saturated in like everybody else kind of thing, okay? So the Gen Z, they've watched that, their older classmates, and are like, okay, let's try something new. So part of that is their craftsmanship for the Gen Z, craftsmanship, and also they're wanting to, again, they're wanting to actually like maintain their integrity this time. So millennials, it's so easy, you're so temptating for me to just like, just kind of do a video of me just like, twerking on some guy and it's so easy, it's so seducing. But Gen Zs understand that the natural world is what's most important, to cherish and preserve that. And they're the ones that are, like I said, they're becoming teachers of the natural world. So we're going to see a lot of Gen Zs that are going to be wanting to teach about natural science, wanting to teach even about things that really connect us with our rhythm as a human before the technology, to really help us to regain our sense of self-esteem. Because some of the self-esteem, I'm astounded. I'm like, whoa, we really can sell ourselves cheap and sell ourselves very impatiently, and we're frustrated because we're not getting the attention cheaply. While Gen Z's, we're bringing back that kind of determination the MTV generation had, like the Madonna, Prince kind of vibe, and Michael Jackson. That determination, that grit, that character is based on our ability to really be tested. and to pass that test. So there's going to be a strength in the Gen Z and the way that a lot of them are going to be more inspired by the MTV generation, like my mom, the Michael Jackson, Prince. They're going to be more inspired than kind of the stuff we have, especially in the music right now. They're going to be more inspired by the older music we're going to see, like even older, like we're talking about like the jazz of like way back when kind of thing. They're going to be more inspired by that because it's going to be it's going to be very calming and soothing and very soulful. And that's the Gen Z, that they're wanting to be soulful again, and they're wanting to make knowledge should be soulful. Knowledge should not be confusing and scrambling people up like the news. It should not scramble people into fear and negativity and doubt and, you know, we're all gonna die kind of thing. So they're wanting to bring soulfulness. So this generation is gonna be more calming. They're gonna be calmer. They're going to be less neurotic. They're going to be a little bit calmer in the way that they're not going to be so easily tempted and so easily seduced to be neurotic because they don't have a guy or a boyfriend, or, you know, they don't have as many followers as so and so. They're not going to be seduced by that. They're going to be more, like I said, cut through the BS, and they're going to be very focused on craftsmanship. And a part of craftsmanship is not public for all to see. It's more so craftsmanship is going to be it's going to be a focus on the natural world and studying it. So we're going to bring back this enjoyment for study. You know, to actually learn. Like millennials is like, I didn't want to learn. I just wanted to make it happen real cheap. So there's gonna be this the enjoyment to actually learn and to study. And study implies that you have to go through the process. You can't skip it. You can't run ahead, and you have to have a determination. So there's gonna be Gen Zs are gonna be more studious. They're actually gonna be a higher IQ because they actually enjoy learning and they enjoy getting smarter. Okay, they actually enjoy something that is real, not something that is like a video game or, you know, some sort of talk on just like random miscellaneous stuff. They want to actually be very educated. Educated, not just we think of like academic educated, but actually educated in the world, where they're just super knowledgeable about various subjects. It could be knowledgeable about shamanism, something very non-traditional, and it could be they're very educated on math to very, you know, academic. So they're wanting to bring like a practical spiritualism to life. So that sensitivity isn't just something that, you know, we need to go get high to kind of balance it out. It becomes like a practical solution to our sensitivity, where we're starting to understand the science of sensitivity. And we're going to see a lot of Gen Zs who are actually using their studious learner's mind, their love for education, non-traditional and traditional. They're going to use that to actually, we're going to have, like I said, with the pioneer generation, we're going to see a lot of like studies on even shamanism, studies on like, it could even be animal communication with the natural world. I mean, it could be some things that the millennials would love to know, like they actually have facts about. But a lot of millennials, it's more so of just sort of a sense, like you can feel, you can sense that the animals have some sort of, you know, connection or telepathy, that kind of thing. But the Gen Z is more so, they're going to actually bring it into a practical, like academically, like accepted way. And that's what's going to be the difference, is that they're actually wanting to give information on spiritualism that actually is tried and true. It's not just some, you know, ayahuasca journey and then I saw some information. It's going to be very much going to be put in the books. So the Gen Zs, they want to put this stuff in the books. And a part of putting stuff in the books is that it has to be very practical, and it has to have a lot of research and a lot of study and a lot of determination and craftsmanship to it. Or it's not going to be in the books. It's not going to be applied to institution or corporation, because it's not, it hasn't it's not reliable. And that's what the Gen Z, they're wanting to take the spiritualism of the millennials and their expression of love and pain and sex and money, all that kind of thing, and they're actually wanting to create like reliable knowledge, like on like applied science on how to overcome anxiety, how to overcome emotional pain, how to overcome trauma in a way that again could be in the books. So it's like the millennial, I don't really necessarily see like that kind of, what do we see on YouTube currently right now? I don't see it going in the books. I see that it's going to be changing. It's going to be transforming with the Gen Zs. It's not going to be going in the books. What we're seeing, a lot of the attention and appraisal. The Gen Zs they're going to be, again, a pioneer. And they're also going to be, again, a deeper activism is going to happen. Like a truthful activism, not activate and go get high kind of thing, and that's our activism. It's going to be very practical activism. It's going to be very practical study groups, very practical revolutions that are not like a bunch of kids that are like just upset, going to the president's house and trying to cause chaos. It's not going to be like a bunch of kids who are upset. It's going to be a bunch of kids who are very intelligent, having a lot of smarts to, okay, this is the solution that we are asking for, and this is the evidence to why this will support us in our future. So we're gonna see what we call it's almost like undeniable. Undeniable. When I say undeniable, it cannot be denied. The education, the study, this discovery that they have, it cannot be denied, because they have the craftsmanship for it to be reliable. And that's going to be the difference between the millennial and the Gen Z, is that it's going to be reliable. Because they actually have the craftsmanship of it. They didn't just do it cheap. They did it real high quality, like super high quality, to the point where nobody can sit there and like, kind of get them off, and because they know that they didn't really do it good. Okay, so, and this is going to be in everything, not just when we talk about like scientific discovery, that kind of thing, or political sort of modification, institutional, corporate. It's also going to even be in the music. It's even going to be in the film. It's even going to be what we're seeing in the news, because the Gen Zs are going to be teachers, and a part of teachers is teacher in like even in the journalism world. So journalism has gotten a little bit convoluted, a little bit scrambled, confused. Okay, teachers in the music industry, teachers in the film industry. And a part of the Gen Z, which is different, is they're not so easily going to tap out and give into like, addiction or substance abuse. They're not so easily going to give up. They're not so easily going to be, it's too hard, let me just kind of like escape it. They're not gonna give into that so quickly. And a part of the you could say the leaders to the Gen Zs, we are going to see various millennials, people in their 20s that we're seeing right now, who are going to basically be like the parent to these Gen Zs. We don't have them right now, but we are going to see parents that are going to basically kind of parent these Gen Zs and kind of help them to really be that, to really become that teacher of the next society model, because we haven't created the next society model, or what we need to transform. Okay, we cannot keep doing what we're doing, because what's happening is just too much. The pollution, the overpopulation, it's just not working. So the new model is going to basically, it's being created, but it's going to be more so really created by the Gen Zs. When you're talking about a lifestyle of what is a relationship? How am I in a relationship? What does relationship mean to me? What does it mean to be a job? And what does it mean to be healthy in a job? And what does it mean to be collaborative in a job? What does it mean to be financially secure? What does it mean to raise children? that's like the model of society that the Gen Zs are going to be basically, they're through their voyage, through their exploration out of the house, out of the place they were born, out in the world. They're going to go out into the world. They're going to be what we call the hands-on students. They're going to be the ones who are actually getting in the dirt and trying the stuff, okay, and going out there. And I'm going to actually, out in the field. That's what they're out in the field. They're going to have immense revelations. And that's going to be their sort of education, is going out there in the world and meeting different people and having different sort of, educational backgrounds and like different places, different countries, different traditions. And that's what's going to really help enrich them and also help them to get stronger and to help them to be more fearless. That's what's going to help them to get stronger and to get more fearless. But a part of the parents and the you could say the teachers of these young teachers that are probably, a lot of them are very young, is a lot of it is the MTV generation. Like I said, Madonna, Prince, Michael, they're going to look to them more so than what we have right now, like, Rihanna, Drake and stuff. They're going to more look to them as like, what does it mean to be a pioneer? What does it mean to actually like lead an era into a next sort of era? And they also, with the Gen Zs, again, they're very discerning, and they have a strength behind them in the way that they can see charlatans for what it is. So we're going to have a lot more of what we call like FBI agents with a lot of indictment going on, okay? Indictment of anything that is not good quality. It's going to be like, okay, it's like, yeah, we need to kind of, we're not accepting of that anymore. We're not accepting of that. So that's kind of what I guess the Gen Zs kind of have a little bit more of a revolutionary spirit, have a little bit of a warrior spirit, in the way that I do feel that they are sensitive, but they're also very vigilant and very persistent, and also they have more resilience to them, meaning that they kind of, they're sort of understanding, okay, like, yeah, we need to focus on the natural world. Let's not get confused. Let's start getting real, and let's start getting practical, and let's get out of our head and in the clouds, and let's really get back into the earth. Let's really get back into study. Like any great person, you study and 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 you study. That's gonna be the Gen, and they're gonna love it too. The millennials, they didn't really love it. A lot of them did not like it. But the Gen Zs, they're going to actually love to study. As you see it right now, kids, they love to study you, and they like to watch you. They love to stare at you, and they're like looking at you. They're always studying you, those little babies. They're like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? What is going on? How? That's those Gen Zs. They want to study because they actually want to learn. And not just learn, they want to be super smart about how they're going to handle their life experience on planet Earth. They want to be very smart about how they're going to, teach, and how they're going to really resurrect the natural world, so that the natural world can be basically what prevails over the whole illusion of the tension, the appraisal, the fake stuff. Okay, so the fake food, the fake boobs, the fake music, all of that. They're wanting the natural world to they're studying it so much. They're bringing it so much joy to that, so that it can prevail over the charlatans that do not care for the natural world but want to sell it cheap. So I hope that this has been transformative for your mind and your spirit. So thank you.